Greetings, mortals. Tonight, we open two doors that were never meant to open. One lies beneath a quiet home in suburban Denver, a crawlspace sealed not just by wooden nails, but by ignorance. The other leads deep into the Panamanian jungle through a trail meant for day hikes, where shadows stretch longer than they should.
In the first story tonight, a woman begins to notice things out of place. A toothbrush missing, a cold spot in the hallway. She hears faint knocks in the night, but no one is there. She wonders if her home is haunted. In a way, it is, but not by a ghost. Security footage shows nothing, until she looks beneath her house and finds something living there. Something that shouldn't be. Something that watches. In the second story, two travelers vanish. Their phones remain. So does the camera. What's left behind are dozens of photographs that grow stranger with each frame. A day hike becomes a week of silence, and the only clues are bones, a backpack, and 90 black images from the edge of the jungle. And maybe the edge of sanity. What connects these stories isn't distance or time. It's the horror of presence. A thing where there should be nothing. A sound in the quiet. A face that doesn't belong. When you believe you're alone, even a whisper becomes unbearable. But when you find out you're not alone, that's when the real terror begins. And what's worse, both stories were recorded. A camera in a hallway, a phone lost in the jungle. The eyes of technology saw everything, documented every step, every moment, every wrong turn. But they didn't stop it. They only made it real. This is Tapes of the Lost. And tonight we find what was never meant to be seen. It began as these things often do, with a sound, a soft knock, not at the door, but within the walls. In early 2019, a woman named Dana moved into a modest duplex in Denver. Quiet street, low rent, nothing unusual, except that sometimes at night things felt off. Lights flickered more than they should. Her toothbrush would be out of place. Food she didn't remember eating would be gone. She joked with friends that her place was haunted. They laughed. She did too. But the knocking didn't stop. It wasn't constant, just random. A tap under the floor, a creak in the ceiling. Small, ordinary noises except for one thing. They only ever happened when she was sad. She kept a journal, and one entry in particular chills in hindsight. I cried for an hour after the phone call with Mom. That night, the noises were louder. It's like the house knows. Dana bought motion lights. Nothing triggered them. She installed a cheap security camera in her hallway. It recorded hours of stillness, but still, things kept going missing. Then came the crawlspace. One morning, she noticed the latch to the crawlspace in her laundry room was ajar, just barely. The door was flush with the floor but tilted, like it had been opened and not fully shut. Dust was disturbed. She dismissed it. Maybe the HVAC guys. Still, it gnawed at her. She went to the hardware store and bought a $60 endoscopic camera on a long flexible wire, the kind plumbers use. She pushed it into the opening and began recording. The footage was quiet for a while. Then she saw bedding, a pile of wrappers, a dent in the earth like something had laid there, and finally, just for a second, a foot. That night, she set up a hidden camera, one she could mount beneath the floor facing the crawl space. The recording started at 2:13 a.m. A man emerged, barefoot, thin, clothes tattered. He moved slowly, deliberately, like someone used to silence. He paused in the hallway, turned his head, looked directly into Dana's bedroom door, open, just a crack. He stood there for over 10 minutes, then crept to the kitchen, ate something, returned, and before slipping back into the crawlspace, he looked at the camera and smiled. Dana ran. She didn't even take her keys. Police arrived. They searched the crawlspace. The man was gone. But what they found was worse. A sleeping bag, bedding, moldy food, old photos, a toothbrush she didn't know was missing, her old necklace, and a journal. The journal was obsessive, dozens of pages written in shaky loops. She doesn't know me, but I love her. The lights are brighter when she's sad. She left the hallway light on again. She's beginning to sense me. Police scoured the neighborhood. No fingerprints. No DNA matches. The man was never identified. They released a composite sketch, but no tips came in. Dana moved out within a week. But the story didn't stop there. 2 doors down, another tenant reported finding fingernail scratches along her crawlspace entrance. A man who lived alone swore his shower water kept draining oddly until plumbers found a small hole in the piping and footprints in the dirt. He had been there, not just under Dana's house, under others too. A reporter looked into property records. 3 previous tenants in that same duplex had moved out abruptly. 2 had filed police reports for missing items and disturbances. 1 had a restraining order against an unknown male presence. No action was taken. And that's the part that echoes. This wasn't a ghost story, this was a failure. The signs were there, the trail existed, and no one followed it. Neighbors now leave their crawl spaces sealed with screws. Some poured cement. 1 woman had her floor replaced entirely. The community lives with a collective unease. And the man? Some say he was mentally ill, a stalker who slipped through the cracks. But others believe he was deliberate. He chose his targets. He watched. And he blended in so well that people ignored the strangeness until it was too late. One retired detective reviewing the footage said it best. He didn't break in, he never needed to, he was already inside. Some stories don't end. They just stop. April 1st, 2014. 2 Dutch students, Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon, set out for a hike on the Pianista Trail near Boquete, Panama. Both were in their early 20s, recent university graduates, volunteering at a local school, eager to explore before starting their teaching program. That morning, they smiled for photos along the trail. Bright sunlight, lush jungle, no signs of fear. Their guide, booked for a later hike, would say they seemed confident, prepared, phones charged, proper footwear. They knew the trail was short, 2 hours up, 2 down, but they never came back. At first, no one panicked. The trail was marked. Locals said people got turned around all the time. They'd be found by nightfall. When they weren't, search parties were sent. Dogs combed the trail, helicopters scanned from above. Nothing. Days passed, then weeks. Then, on June 14th, a local woman walking by the riverbank found something strange. A blue backpack sitting upright on a boulder beside the water. Inside, 2 phones, a water bottle, sunglasses, $83 in cash, a passport, and a Canon PowerShot camera. The phones told a story. Chris's iPhone and Lisanne's Samsung recorded over 77 emergency call attempts between April 1st and April 11th, most to 112, the international emergency number, and some to 911. All failed, either due to lack of signal or battery life. The first call came just 4 hours after their hike began. Lisanne's phone died on the 6th day. Chris's lasted longer, but from April 6th onward, someone attempted to unlock it several times. The correct PIN was never entered again. Then came the camera. Over 130 photos, The first 50. Smiling faces, sweeping vistas, trail markers. Then, darkness. The final image of Kris shows her standing on a boulder, arms stretched outward, facing the jungle. After that, more than 90 photos taken between 1 and 4 a.m. on April 8th. Many are black. Some show close-ups of rocks, tangled twigs, and what appears to be a wound, blood on a leaf. One image shows the back of a head, partially illuminated, believed to be Kris. Another shows a pair of broken sunglasses, and one, the most chilling, depicts what appears to be a body posed beneath foliage, partially buried. But no one has confirmed what the image shows. Theories poured in. Did they fall? Get lost? Were they injured, trying to signal rescuers with the flash? Was someone else with them? Someone controlling the camera? Because something didn't add up. 2 months after the backpack was found, fragments of human remains were recovered several kilometers downstream. A boot containing a foot, a femur with flesh still attached. DNA confirmed the bones belonged to Lisanne. Kris's remains were also identified, but her bones were different. They were clean, bleached by sun or chemical exposure. Some say they looked processed. Local forensics were inconclusive. The official ruling, death by exposure. But no trauma was confirmed. No animal bites, no broken bones. Just pieces, then continues. The showls, the jungle had returned only what it chose to. Theories darkened. Some proposed a fall. Perhaps they crossed a ravine, got trapped, and tried to signal for help. Others whispered of locals who might have followed them. One man, a tour guide with a history of making women uncomfortable, was reportedly seen near the trail that day. He denied involvement. No charges were filed. Online forums speculated wildly. Murder, kidnapping, a jungle cult. But the evidence left behind was too fractured, too curated, as if whoever or whatever left the backpack wanted just enough to be found. Some noticed strange formatting on the phones. Apps deleted, photo timestamps out of order. Experts suggested the data might have been tampered with. If so, by whom? And why? Back home, their family struggled with answers. Dutch authorities flew in. Local officials clashed with investigators. Some photos were leaked to the public. Others never were. To this day, a portion of the nighttime images remain unreleased. We know what's in them, but we don't know who took them. And that raises one final question. If both girls were presumed dead within 10 days, who held the phone on day 11? 2 places, 2 victims. One inside a crawlspace, the other inside a jungle. What ties them together is not geography, or time, or method. It's claustrophobia. Not just physical, but existential. The shrinking of your world when you realize something else has entered it and refuses to leave. Dana's crawlspace was no larger than a mattress, a tomb with insulation. The girls in Panama were surrounded by thousands of acres of jungle, space in every direction. And yet, in both cases, they were trapped. The man under Dana's house wasn't supernatural. He had no powers, no magic, just time. Time to learn her patterns, time to slip through unnoticed. The idea that someone could live beneath you for months, watching you eat, cry, sleep, without you knowing, is almost worse than violence. It is intrusion masquerading as intimacy. In Panama, the jungle played a different role. It didn't hide someone, it became one. Every photo, every echo, every flash of light turned against Kris and Lisanne. The place that should have offered awe became a maze of misdirection. Both stories are haunted, but not by ghosts. They're haunted by the idea that you can be recorded, every movement, every breath, and still vanish. Cameras captured the crawlspace man. Phones tracked the hiker's descent into chaos. Photos were taken, journals were written, clues were left, and yet no help came. Technology, we're told, protects us. But what happens when it doesn't? This is the new horror, the postmodern fear, not just of being watched, but of being watched, recorded, and still forgotten. We expect rescue because we expect connection. We think that if we scream into the digital void, someone will hear. But the truth? My very paw. Sometimes the void only answers with silence. Then there's the emotional thread, one of intention. The man beneath Dana's floorboards believed he was forming a relationship. His notes suggest obsession, but also delusion. She doesn't know me, but I love her. That's not madness, that's a narrative, one he built around her. In his mind, he was part of her life. She just hadn't realized it yet. That's the horror of proximity. In contrast, Kris and Lisanne left behind documents, photos, timestamps, notes on their phones, but no narrative, only confusion. Their story was fragmented, punctuated by darkness, interrupted by static. It's not just that we don't know what happened, it's that the trail they left behind feels almost curated, like someone or something wanted to show us part of the truth, but never the whole thing. And what both stories ultimately deliver is a feeling we rarely sit with anymore. Helplessness, not in the face of monsters, but in the face of normal things, floorboards, forests, cameras, light, the things we trust most. That's what makes these stories linger, not what we saw, but what we didn't, what we couldn't. Because sometimes the scariest part isn't that someone was watching you. It's the moment you realize they still are.
These are not ghost stories. They are stories of real presence, unseen, unnoticed, and far too close. So sleep well, mortals, but check the shadows. You may not be alone. This has been Tapes of the Law.